My name is Morgan, and I work for Bishop Fixture and Millwork out of Baldwin, Wisconsin. And my role with the company is primarily in international sourcing, locating suppliers that can handle our needs over there, our production requirements, and then also hands-on managing the projects. So Bishop's history in China dates back to 2004. We got our start. Today we're on our third relationship. And so my kind of focus with the company is figuring out what's our next step and what's the right path for us in terms of meeting our clients' demands and our own demands. So to kind of look at Bishop's particular situation, we focused on what are our product needs. We're a custom manufacturer, so unlike maybe Walt's business where he has a standard product line, we have diverse product lines that are custom in nature. We work on shorter lead times and shorter overall volumes. So essentially not an ideal fit for doing business in China. But with that said, as many companies are driven to go overseas, your customers want the lower prices, so you have to be able to support that. On top of that, we also looked at our support level requirements. Because they're a custom business and we're serving demanding retailers, we need to be responsive in quoting, whereas maybe in other industries you have a couple weeks to make a quote. We need to be able to turn it around in 2 to 3 days. So looking at those requirements and also our need for hands-on project management in China, and somebody who understands local culture and sourcing requirements to have a successful relationship. We went ahead with a partnership with a sourcing company out of China, based out of Shanghai, and they're essentially our eyes and ears on the ground over there. They manage the product, help us manage the product with frequent visits from Bishop over to China. On top of that, we also established some factory direct relationships that helps us maintain an understanding of what the current market prices should be to keep our sourcing company honest. And we utilize a third-party auditing company to provide third-party private inspections, quality control reviews, product reviews. So today we're doing approximately $2.5 million worth of production in China, with average turnaround in quotes within 2 to 3 days, and shipping to 23 countries worldwide, providing turnkey support for our clients. Kind of to expand on, depending on what your need is, whether it's a factory direct relationship or working with a trading or sourcing agent, there's the key things to look at are defining your key factors for success and what your requirements are. Being, how important is low cost to you versus managing getting higher quality products, security and IP protection, location being your specific port, social accountability is a major concern, and then also environmental practices. Okay. So after you've kind of determined whether you want to have a factory direct relationship or go through a sourcing agent, there's some steps you can take to qualify your facility. And this is primarily my role, doing hand-on audits of the factories and reviewing the processes. So that would be, first of all, you want to make sure you visit the factory before you engage in a relationship any further with them and place an order. A lot of times, you may not know it, but you're dealing with a middleman. So it's good to actually visit the factory, meet the owners, and deal directly with the people at the factory. You can hire third parties to do factory audits, whether it's a capacity and reliability of the factory, reviewing equipment, and also looking at the social accountability, which is obviously a big issue over in China and other developing countries. What are the working conditions? Are they using child labor? Are they overworking their staff? Do they have the right personal protective equipment? Air quality, all those kind of things play into it. In addition to that, you want to look at obviously your lead times, setup costs, production costs. You want to make sure you're comparing apples to apples between these different facilities, because a lot of times what you'll be getting is you'll have one facility that will tell you they can do the whole project for you, whereas they're really subcontracting the work out to multiple facilities. So that's something to be careful for. Just general, doing business in China, in my experience, the most important things are having a high attention to detail. You can't take anything for granted. Essentially, if it can go wrong, if you leave it open to it, it quite possibly will. So you want to make sure that you have the time and the resources to dedicate to doing the project right. In addition to that, another tip would be tying your payment terms to quality control inspections and different stages of the project. For instance, and you want to lay out these terms beforehand before you actually engage in the production. For instance, a lot of factories require a down payment, so let's say a 20% down on the project. The next 20% or 30%, that should be tied to a specific inspection point where you review the product and you have maybe a defect rate that is acceptable and not acceptable, and then a resolution for if they don't meet that requirement, and how's that going to be handled. So those are the things you all want to have laid out before you actually engage in the contract. Outside of that, I imagine any Q&A on doing actual factory audits or qualifying suppliers. It's kind of my specialty, so I'll leave the rest to Q&A. Thank you.
Thanks, Morgan. John, if you want to